Growing up in the 1980s and 1990s, I have vivid memories of many of my secondary school male teachers starting to go bald, but cunningly hiding this from almost all of us by employing the technique which is known as the comb-over. Of course, in reality, this fooled almost no one, but it isn't the 1980s anymore. And although 4 out of 5 men, so that's 80% of us, will start to lose our hair at some point in our lives, things have changed radically. So today, we're going to look at some of the myths behind hair loss in men and what you can really do if you're keen to avoid going thinner as you get older. So the first thing to be aware of is that not all causes of hair loss in men are due to simply being a guy. There are various other things to consider which can impact on the quality and quantity of hair loss. For example, fungal infections, stress responses, various hormonal or nutritional causes such as iron, B12, thyroid disease and various other things. So before you resign yourself to the fact that just because your dad went bald you will as well, it's probably worth getting someone to look at these other causes. This usually involves a blood test and someone who knows about hair, either a men's health doctor, GP or dermatologist, to look at your scalp. But when it comes down to it, androgenic alopecia, or male pattern baldness as it's known, is still the most common form of hair loss in guys, and interestingly it affects women as well. There is this idea that bald men are more virile. We classically see famous pictures of Hollywood actors that must have more testosterone because look how muscly they are, and yet they have no hair. In reality, this is of course not true. A proportion of testosterone is converted to its more active element, dihydrotestosterone. And it is this dihydrotestosterone, or DHT, that's actually responsible for baldness. In a similar way, it's also responsible for growing your beard. The more sensitive and the more receptors you have to this dihydrotestosterone, the more likely you are to grow a beard, but also the more likely you are to lose your hair on top. So where for 80% of men, losing their hair is an inevitability, surely we should just accept that somehow we're going to go bald, be happy with it and get on with our lives. But why should we? Cosmetics and supplement companies prey on the insecurity of men who are desperately trying to hold on to their hair. In fact, the hair industry is worth £1.5 billion per year. This is crazy money. It's just depressing stuff because most of the stuff that's sold does bugger all. So because in reality there are really only a very small range of products that really do anything to improve your hair quality, here is a quick summary of everything you need to know that will work to improve your hair quality and quantity that you can get. Minoxidil, also known as Regain, is probably the only treatment available over the counter that significantly reduces the loss of hair and improves hair quality. We don't really know how minoxidil works, but it's originally developed as a blood pressure tablet. Sadly, it wasn't very good at controlling blood pressure, but what they did find is that those people that took minoxidil started to get quite hairy everywhere. Therefore now, it's available as a topical lotion and also a foam. And generally it's really good, with evidence supporting minoxidil for both improving hair quality and the slowing down of hair loss. The downside of minoxidil is that it can cause some skin irritation, but more importantly you've got to put it on twice a day, forever. Because the minute you stop, your hair is going to go back to what it was before, and it will catch up within a matter of months. If the idea of putting something on your head twice a day for the rest of your life is a little bit off-putting, then you may wish to consider taking a tablet. Finasteride is primarily used in the treatment of large prostates, and it works by blocking the conversion of testosterone to DHT, the dihydrotestosterone we talked about before. It's really successful in treating benign large prostates in men. Finasteride is also highly successful in treating male pattern baldness because it's blocking that conversion pathway to DHT. Treatment can take up to 2 years in some men, but it shows not only reversing of hair loss, but improved hair quality and quantity. The downside of finasteride, however, is it can have other side effects, including erectile dysfunction, decreased libido, problems with ejaculation, and even gynecomastia, or male breast tissue. But because the dose is so low, it's pretty rare. So for a lot of guys, this is a really good first choice option in reducing hair loss and improving hair quality over time. If all else fails, you might consider going for a hair transplant. Originally developed in the 1980s, the first procedures were not spectacular, the idea being that they would literally transplant a band of hair from the back of your head over to the front. But over the last few years, the understanding and technology behind the procedure has advanced rapidly to the point where now good hair transplants are very easy to perform and they're done as day case procedures. Famous celebrities such as Wayne Rooney and Jimmy Carr have recently proudly sported their new hair transplants, and again this is starting to become something that doesn't have the same stigma around it that it used to. Hair transplant procedures take between 6 and 8 hours and are usually done in a day case setting under local anaesthetic. The biggest prohibitive factor for most guys is the cost, and they can vary wildly from £8,000 to £30,000 depending on where you go. Before we finish, it's probably worth looking briefly at a couple of the other products available on the market and seeing if they do anything to improve hair quality and reduce hair loss. The first one is rosemary oil, and also peppermint oil actually. There was a 2013 study that showed that rosemary oil might improve the hair quality in some mice, but actually this has never been found in humans at all. Coconut oil, castor oil and any oil in fact do nothing to improve hair quality in men, therefore you might as well save yourself some money. Biotin is a protein found in nuts, eggs and oats and is widely sold to women as a treatment for hair loss. This is based around a couple of very small studies that show it may improve hair quality in women. However, there are no studies that show that biotin improves the treatment of androgenic alopecia. Therefore, for guys, it's pretty much a no-go. Finally, in terms of other topical rubs, lotions or vitamins such as zinc, B12, folic acid or anything else you might wish to rub in your head, save yourself the money, don't bother, there's no evidence it makes any difference whatsoever. Whether you decide to take something for your hair loss is of course down to you, but the main thing is that men now have choice. Through the advances of modern medicine, we've now finally, and hopefully, seen the extinction of that terrible creature known as the comb over.